Good evening, everyone. I think everyone is going to begin to be filing in to the collaboration session for October. We welcome everyone. Sorry we were a couple minutes late. We're just getting quickly organized to put together an awesome update, a series of updates for all of you. So we are going to kick things off with an open meditation, a unity meditation, and Star is going to be walking us through that meditation. So we'll give you another 30 seconds because I'm sure people are still logging in before we start the meditation. But good to see all of you.
Thank you, Allison. Welcome, everybody. As Allison said, we're going to give everybody a minute or two here to get logged in, and because I know there's several steps sometimes to getting into this platform. I just want to start by saying that that I love everybody on this meeting, and you know, you're here for a reason. You are part of the leading edge, and you know, it's no accident that you're at this meeting. Those who are in alignment with this information are part of a movement to make this world a much better, more abundant and joyful and free place. And we have a very powerful meeting for you today that we're very excited to share with you. And I'd like to start us off by just taking a brief moment to gather ourselves and unify our consciousness in the intentions that we all share together. So let's go ahead and do that now. So wherever you are, go ahead and just take a moment to arrive. Whatever you had to do to get here, whatever's going on outside of the room that you're in. See if you can just let it go. They'll all be there waiting for you, I promise. But let's take this time now for ourselves, for each other, for the new world that we're creating. Take a moment to just observe your breath. Watching the air move in and out of your body. Noticing how easily your body breathes the life in and out. And now take a moment to allow your consciousness to descend from your mind space down into your body, into your heart space, and allow your awareness to rest there. And take a moment to just breathe in and out of this loving, warm heart space. And now become aware of the others joining with you in this gathering, connecting to all of our hearts, beating in unison, with a resonance for a new world. a world where peace abounds. We are free to follow our hearts. And we look forward to each moment of our day as we contribute to the lives of others and existence as a whole. And now take a moment to send this heart-centered energy to the world right now. Let's envelop the world in this calming, loving, peaceful, interconnected energy. And see us all living in harmony, health, and happiness. We join together our hearts in this collective vision for a new world fit for the divine beings that we are. And so it is. Now take a moment to come back into your body. Remain in your heart space. Watching your breath. Move in and out of your beautiful, perfect body. And then take a moment to be aware of your body in the chair. Notice your surroundings in your room that you're in. And bring yourself back to this present moment. All right, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me in that unifying meditation, inspired by the divine. I want to start this meeting today remaining in my heart space and introducing you to Rebecca Gretz. She has been overseeing our political efforts for UBUNTU USA, and she is a wonderful human being who has graciously agreed to step up and assist me in the co-coordination of the national efforts here in the United States. I myself am on a healing journey, and require a little bit of extra assistance at this time. And Rebecca has graciously agreed to assist me and will be co-coordinating the national efforts moving forward. So I want to introduce you to Rebecca, and she will be reading a statement that she wrote, and I assisted her to review, but mostly this was a creation of Rebecca herself, and it's something that Ubuntu USA resonates very strongly with, but we feel very, very strongly about making this statement at this time. All of you know that the world is changing right before our eyes. We can see the duality heightening as it ends, and it's very chaotic in our world. So we wanted to make a statement about one of the things that's happening. So I want to introduce you to Rebecca and let her go ahead and say hello and then offer the statement to you all. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Thanks, Star. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So this is a solidarity statement with Standing Rock Sioux and all of the water protectors. We are wanting to make a statement of solidarity with the Standing Rock Sioux people. And so our statement is, we of the Ubuntu Liberation Movement stand in solidarity with the Standing Rock Sioux, the coalition of Native leaders, activists, and all of humanity as we protect and defend our rights as humans on this earth. As custodians for future generations of all life, it is our responsibility to protect and preserve our rights to clean air, clean water, and fertile ground. Actions like the North Dakota law enforcement agents and the lackluster attempt of the U.S. federal government to halt the Dakota Access Pipeline construction are clear indicators that our governments are not serving the interests of the people of this earth. These types of actions occurring all across the planet are proof that our governments have been co-opted by corporations and that the land, water, and air have been stolen from the people. It is our mission to take back the land, water, and air for the people, to liberate humanity from the oppressive greed of corporations and governments that have forgotten that they are created to be in service to the people. We stand in solidarity with all of humanity, reclaiming the rights to land, water, and air, and the divine gift of freedom. That's our statement. What the Ubuntu Liberation Movement is going to be putting out into, I guess, making a press release this coming week. Hopefully tomorrow, I think. So.
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I forgot I was muted. Thank you so much. Yes, we felt that it was very important to make this statement at this time. We will be officially releasing this as a press release within the next couple of days. Obviously, what is happening is a clear indication that our governments are run by corporations and that they have lost sight of the original reason why they were created, which is the people and the earth. So we're going to help remind the world what we need to do. So we have a lot to cover tonight, as usual. And we have other very exciting information, including a new plan of action to help return the power to the people and to help us find a way forward, specifically in this country. And the United States will serve as a model for other countries around the world. So Michael Tellinger himself is very focused on the efforts in the United States at this time, because we're going to be moving forward with this new plan of action, which Brandon Shelton is going to be sharing with us in just a moment. and you'll be able to learn a little bit about this plan and how it's going to move forward and how you can become involved, because of course this all involves you. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Brandon Shelton, who's in charge of our business and fundraising for Ubuntu USA. And he will tell you about what our new plan of action is going to be. So take it away, Brandon. No, we can't hear you. I think we can hear you now.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Is it clear?
It is clear.
Okay.
You're good to go. Good to launch.
And I'm a technology guy here. All right. So where we're at right now is we have one small town manifesto. So we've had 2 revision rounds, and now it's in the hands of Michael. And he updated me earlier today to say that he will have a final version back to me tomorrow that will include all of his edits. And then I'll share it back with kind of our initial group, Star and Rebecca, to take one more pass at this. And then if it looks good to you, Rebecca and Star, then certainly release this to everybody. But in short, it's taking down at a very kind of broad strokes level the goals of one small town, which is basically finding a town, having the mayors involved, having resources like capital to invest in the town, in kind of very broad strokes way. I think it's like 4 or 5 pages. So it's very straightforward to release this to everybody. This document will be used as the basis for our fundraising. So I had initially been talking about Kickstarter, but as I went to go sign up for Kickstarter, they really don't support causes. It's really for buying a product. And so I looked into Indiegogo, and they have a new section called Generosity, which is for nonprofits, and they don't charge 10% like they normally take from Kickstarter or Indiegogo. They only take 5%. So that's a nice a benefit with that. And so I started the page, and the idea is this one small town manifesto will be on this Indiegogo page, along with the video that I'll start to work with Michael on. So he'll be speaking for probably about 30 to 45 seconds on the video, and then we'll have about another 2 or 3 minutes after that with a PowerPoint presentation and a professional voiceover that explains what's the purpose of this fundraiser. So the purpose of the fundraiser is essentially to raise capital, or not capital, money for the overhead administration. There is a lot of experts that we may have to consult with and hire. There may be some people that we need to hire on either a part-time or full-time basis to help administrate this whole documentation process, back gathering. We're going to have to visit maybe some towns with mayors and candidates that meet our requirements. So the goal of the fundraiser is set at a minimum of $25,000, and my personal goal is to raise over $100,000. That just gives us more ability to do things faster and more flexible. So we're getting pretty close. So the timeline is, I hope that Michael can get this to me tomorrow. I will read it immediately, release it to our inner group, and then the approval can get released out to the broader group, and then immediately start working with Michael on the video portion of it. So I know he can just turn the camera on and just talk, and he'll come up with something, and it'll be ready for me to edit. And the rest will be just doing the PowerPoint presentation, again, creating the script and doing the voiceover. So if all goes well, a little bit, about a week or so, we can fully populate the Indiegogo site and release it to everybody to say, this is what the page looks like, here's the content, get another round of collaboration from everybody, submit it to Indiegogo for approval. It will take them a couple of days to approve the campaign. And once they approve it, then this is where we kick it to all of our media sources. So the Ubuntu Media Group certainly will get a heads up before this gets out to get their advanced copy of the website or the web page campaign. and to have every kind of brainstorm, how can we get this word out? There is no timeline with Indiegogo. That's one of the things I really liked about what they offered. You can close it at any time. So if we're successful in getting, let's say, 25,000 after a week, we can certainly keep running it. I would like to run it for about 60 days to get us to over that 100,000 mark, mainly because we're coming into the holiday season. It'll be difficult to try to figure out to do anything, I think, more constructively with how to spend the money. So the idea is let it run 60 days, and then in January, February timeframe, we're able to close it when we wish to. Then there's a 15-day window for when they write the check. And at that point, as we get to the closing point, we'll start budgeting how much money we've got, which ways that we can allocate this, start kind of planning Michael's trip to come back to the United States for an extended time where he can sign books, do some strategizing, potentially meeting with certain people. So there's a lot that's going to happen. So right now, the heads down approach is we just need to finalize on the manifesto, get the Indiegogo page done, which is my responsibility, and then everyone has to push on the marketing of this.
Thank you, Brandon. I wonder if you wouldn't mind speaking a little bit about the one small town idea, just for those who are not able to attend the Bolton Valley webinar or in person, to just share very briefly about what this new idea is of one small town in action.
Oh, certainly. So the whole point of one small town is it's really everything that Michael has ever said about contribution in Ubuntu, and I just asked certain questions to him like, well, how can we actually do this in the United States? I've noticed there are some differences to how he was doing things in South Africa. And then while I was in New York City and to get to meet him, I was telling him that, we just need one small town to start this process, just like you did in South Africa. And he just looked at me funny and he said, that's it, one small town. That really is the genesis of this direction. So it's not necessarily a new direction, but it is a clear encapsulation of everything that he has said to make it very simple. So the principle is we find one small town in the United States and who follows a certain level of resources or guidelines that we need. So there is some process that we'll come up with. But whatever that town is, the idea is the mayor, the city councilman, and at least 20% of the town is very interested to do this new model. And what this new model consists of is everyone who is a member, and I'll call it a member, meaning they are part of Ubuntu in their town, they are to contribute a minimum of 3 hours a week. So this means most people still have a full-time job, a part-time job, some people may be unemployed, but you still contribute your 3 hours, and your normal day job, if you will, pays for your expenses because we're starting this operation. But those 3 hours collectively amongst, let's say, 1,000 people from a 5,000 town population is a lot of man hours. And those hours are used to work on community projects. One of the first ones that needs to be set up is agriculture or livestock farming and production, basically growing organic food, whether it be indoors, which is my personal interest, or outdoor farming. And the idea is all that labor goes to help plant and harvest and then distribute food free to all of the members. And so that's the first perk or the first benefit that the town is going to see, is that those 3 hours that people put into this, their efforts, whether it be working on the farm or working on other projects. Other projects could even be cleaning up the town park. There's many different projects that people are able to contribute their time. But in that whole contribution, everybody gets this free food. And the food that isn't given away is then sold. We can sell it in farmers markets, we can sell it to restaurants, we can sell it to other towns and so on. So this product or this produce creates revenue, it's profits. And so the idea with any profits that are generated is a very kind of simple, broad level distribution. 1/3 will go to the investor, the person who put the money in to start the farm, or whichever project we're talking about. 1/3 is going to go to the town. I call it the town bank. So it sits there so that the town can use that to reinvest in its own infrastructure. And then 1/3, and then 1/3 goes back to the community. So that means if we generate X number of dollars and selling produce, you divide it by 1,000 people, that's how much each individual person is actually going to make. So let's just say, an example, $500 is allocated to 1,000 people each. So by contributing 3 hours, they just made $500. So at first that sounds kind of strange, that if you compute the hourly rate, that's certainly $150 plus an hour. That doesn't sound right. But the whole point of this effort is that you're contributing your time, we're creating abundance, and through that abundance of a product or a service, we're able to then give it freely to the community members, and we're also able to sell it at a profit to non-community members. And then this profit is distributed, like I said, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So the goal when we talk about no money society or no money community, the evolution of this is, let's say the next factory we open up is a fashion factory, something that makes apparel or makes dining room tables, something that we produce that people will buy. And let's say we get to the point where multiple of these factories are generating $4,000 a month to each community member. At that point, a member will decide, should they quit their job? Because if you've got stable income, you're only working 3 hours a week, but yet you're enjoying the work that you do, you may make that financial decision to quit the day job and work or be completely full-time to the UBUNTU project, which basically means you may work 6 hours a day, and that becomes your job. But I use the word job in figurative quotes because it's something that you enjoy doing. There are many different things that people can do in a community that contributes towards building a product, building a service, something that ultimately ends up generating more revenue for the community. So as more people make that shift from 3 hours a week to 6 hours per day, I mean, if you do the math, it becomes quite exponential about how much labor that we have or how much more we are able to produce. And so that is essentially the evolution to no money. Now, we don't really focus on that part of it, because when you start telling people we're going to have a society of no money, it seems to create a lot more questions than really the excitement that we really wish for people to absorb. So the simplicity of it is to start out by saying, yes, it's a 3-hour-a-week contribution, and you get free stuff for whatever that the town provides, and that there is a ability to earn income through this thing. So that's, in very simple, broad strokes, that is the contributionism and Ubuntu philosophy wrapped up into a new title called One Small Town that, so once the manifesto gets published for everybody, it's just very straightforward and simple. And it is revolutionary in a sense, because we are using the existing structures of capital, of businesses, of profit, all of these words that may be somewhat foreign to a lot of the Ubuntu people as being bad words, but they are words that are useful to us to get to the point where people are contributing to the community, earning a revenue, generating income, and also enjoying what they're doing, both in production of goods or learning new things like art or music or other hobbies that end up allowing them to create or start a new profession.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon. That was a very well-spoken summary of our One Small Town plan of action. So you will all be hearing much, much more about this One Small Town plan of action in the coming months. As you can see, it is a new paradigm of working together, unity and community. It's going to change the way that we do things. If we can just find one small town, and once this manifesto is complete, which it should be in the next few days or over the next week, we're going to start approaching mayors of small towns and seeing if they're interested in taking this journey with us. This is all going to be somewhat experimental. It's never been done before, especially in this day and age. But we all know that the way that we're doing things are not working. So it will start small. It's going to start as a transition. Michael has always spoken about how the transition to a world without money will require money. It will require a transitionary period where we're going to have to start incorporating some of these Ubuntu principles into our lives, into our communities, while we're still, have one toe in the matrix, so to speak. But we are very, very excited about the potential of this new plan of action and the income that it can generate for us, because right now, in our world that we exist in right this moment, freedom and actions require money most of the time. So we are going to use the tools that exist in our current paradigm that we're shifting out of, and we're going to use it for good. So thank you so much, Brandon. Like I said, you're going to be hearing much, much more about this One Small Town Manifesto and Plan of Action. If you have ideas for small towns that are struggling and who might be good candidates to become an Ubuntu town, we're looking for towns with existing infrastructure where this could very easily be implemented. Like Brandon was saying, we would need probably about 20% of the population to be in alignment with this type of new operating system. So feel free to reach out to us if you feel like you have some ideas, or you'd like to be involved, or you know of a town, or your town might be a good candidate. So I'd like to move on here for the sake of time. I think the next item on the agenda is that we're going to be talking about our new website changes. So I'm going to be introducing Jeremy Colt, who is our Ubuntu USA webmaster. He manages and oversees the United States website. He also assists Michael in the global efforts. And he has some excellent ideas about some changes that would be beneficial for all of us. We want people to be able to interact more freely, connect with people more easily who are in alignment with this vision and mission. And so I'm going to have Jeremy talk a little bit about some of the changes that he and Michael and some other people are discussing making to the websites, so that you guys can hear about it and then make any suggestions or ask any questions. I also just want to say before I hand it over to you, Jeremy, that we will definitely be answering questions at the end of the meeting. I know that the dialogue that we've already started today is probably creating some questions for those of you, and I can see that there are some questions in the chat. So hang on to those, and Allison, maybe you could take note of some of the questions that are coming up, and we'll make sure to address any questions or suggestions that you may have. Okay, Jeremy, come on down and tell us a little bit about some of the potential changes that are coming our way with the websites.
Okay, thank you, Star. First of all, it's an honor and privilege to be speaking with everyone today on the exciting new direction that Michael has expressed for not only the overall direction of the Ubuntu movement, the one small town approach that Brandon has just shared with us, but also with the overall global Ubuntu website and the importance of unifying our message to the world. And so today I'm happy to provide a very high-level overview of some of the discussions and current projects that we're working on for both the global website and also the USA website. And let me just throw in a side note here. It's always incredible to me when people are led and guided to step up and volunteer their talents and skills for the movement. And it's amazing how all of us are being prepared to participate to be the solution of the problem and challenges that's presented. And I just find that incredible. And so with this fast growing movement, as expected, there's going to be a little bit of growing pains, some learning experiences, and especially in the near future as it continues to grow, it's going to become more critical to constantly correct our course and make little adjustments to become more unified in the approach and the overall message and excitement of Ubuntu. And what we don't want to do, and what we're trying to actively avoid, is fragmenting our message and having so many sources of information, it can become difficult to maintain and organized. And so we're also exploring ways to design and build sites that can easily scale and meet the demands of the future growth of the movement. So what are we doing to address these growing pains? There's a current and growing team of very talented people working with Michael to proactively adjust our approach with the Ubuntu online presence. And the primary goal for UBUNTUPlanet.org at a very high level is to, first of all, be the primary source for everything Ubuntu. It needs to be the site that we send people to initially. It needs to be the central hub for all the information to promote, to inform, to inspire, to provide motivating messages. It really is meant to be the home and main landing page where we can learn and grow with Ubuntu. And so therefore, all registered website names are going to point to or redirect rather to UBUNTUPlanet.org. And this will help centralize the information and messages that we're trying to communicate. The global connector, if you haven't had an opportunity to use it, try it out. It's incredible. It's a fantastic tool that's constantly being enhanced and improved to make it easier to connect with people from all over the world. And we feel it's a little bit underutilized, and there's an emphasis that we're trying to promote to use this tool more. I know Michael would like to see more people use this particular tool. And as with anything, we also welcome any feedback or ways to make any of these provided services, online technology, better. The easier we can get people connected, the better for everybody. On the UBUNTUPlanet.org site, we're going to have the store and marketplace is going to be redesigned and redeveloped to make it easier to sell products and services for Ubuntu communities, for members and non-members. Kind of tie into what Brandon talked about earlier. This will be critical for the one small town approach in the future. There will be a new way to organize and kick off crowdfunding and donation campaigns. We're bringing together multimedia. It'll be organized better. We're going to provide a single source for TV and music channels that's related to Ubuntu. And we're also going to create a new document library repository to provide a single source to store and organize the message material, the images, the graphics, and many other document types as they're produced to keep the content central. And this is kind of a new and exciting area that we're exploring, that Michael's excited about as well, is the potential to offer a Ubuntu BNB service. Now, the BNB service is similar to Airbnb, and for anyone that's not familiar with BNB, it's like a bed and breakfast service or a way for people to monetize their extra space and showcase a room or home or whatever property they may have. It's kind of like a peer-to-peer online marketplace and homestay network that enables people to list or rent short-term lodging in residential properties. This is a very exciting opportunity to provide Ubuntu members an opportunity to travel all over the world for a reduced cost. So that's kind of in the brainstorm phase right now. The primary links to all other country-related websites, such as usa.ubuntuplanet.org, will be linked directly from the main global site. Any site with content will have the ability to intelligently communicate with each other using standard technologies, so that the content is made from a single source and then distributed to the appropriate destinations. And just a couple other areas where we're looking at features such as single sign-on. This is an incredible technology where it centralizes authorization to be able to give people one place to log in, and it'll work on all Ubuntu services as they're developed. And it also provides the potential to allow people to log in via Facebook, Google, whatever accounts they have from their favorite social networking site. And right now, Michael's evaluating a common look and feel that will be applied to the global site, and then any country site will then have the exact same look and feel, again, to promote this unified message and look and presentation. So it's very exciting. There's a lot of work to be done. There's some incredible ideas that are being thrown out. So I'm just going to throw this out here now, and we can talk about it later too, is if you're interested in volunteering your time and talents, particularly with the skills related to web design, programming, please feel free to reach out to me. So, and with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Star.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. So as you can see, Ubuntu is evolving as fast as ever. The momentum is continuing to build, and we are just trying to keep up with it, essentially. So the website is a very important piece, very important piece of our ability to connect with all of you and to share information and to connect you with resources that may be helpful to you as you move forward and evolve as well. So thank you so much, Jeremy. Feel free, like he said, to reach out to him directly. His email is listed there on the screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our next item. Yes, so we're going to have Susan Jamison, who I have lovingly titled our Ubuntu Unification Orchestrator. She is sort of a jack of all trades and has been previously identified as our humanities ambassador. We've been playing around with the titles. Titles are just so silly, especially hierarchical type of titles. So we're just trying to have some fun with it and lighten up a little bit. And you know what? I don't see Susan on the webinar. Is she on the webinar currently, Allison? Oh, she fell off. Okay. That's kind of classic Susan. So I'm not even exactly sure what she was going to be saying today. But what I will say, I'll talk a little bit about what I do know until Susan hopefully jumps back on here. As you all know, we recently had many events in the New York area, in Ohio, and in Vermont, where Michael came to the United States, and he spoke. He spoke at several venues. He activated in many different areas and connected, made very important connections with people who we are now using to continue to build momentum for the movement. And Michael and a core group of us sat down in New York City for the majority of a day and just and came up with a lot of the details that you're learning about today, the new plan of action, our vision moving forward. And I would like to share a little bit about some of the things that I know that Michael and I discussed. We hope to have happening for Ubuntu moving forward in 2017. So we're going to continue to have some events. Oh, I just got a message from, yeah, she's trying to get back on. So I'm just gonna share, and then she'll probably jump on at the last moment. So one of the things that Michael would really like to do is to have a music and arts festival, an Ubuntu Music and Arts Festival that would happen potentially even multiple times per year. And we're trying to decide on the venue at this time. We connected with several people in New York City who have potential venues that we can use. But we would like to bring together musicians and artists and people who resonate with the message of Ubuntu, and to offer multiple types of festivals and events surrounding music and arts. We also discussed the idea of a so-called conscious film festival, which would be Ubuntu sponsored. So again, some of you who may feel a little off about some of the ideas that Brandon brought forward today around raising money for our organization, we need money to be able to put on some of these big events, to be able to share our message, and to be able to help successfully transition our world to a world without money. So we discussed the idea of a conscious film festival that would go around the entire country. There are many conscious filmmakers and artists and musicians, obviously. And so we would like to be able to put together a series of films and to offer those for Ubuntu to host and offer those films. And Michael had the idea of having that travel around the nation and potentially even globally. So if you know of anyone who might like to be involved, or you yourself would like to be involved, please feel free to reach out to Susan. You can see her email there listed on the screen. And she's in charge of many of our, all of our events. And she'd be very happy to connect with you if you have ideas or resources that might be helpful. The last event that we discussed, that Michael and I discussed when I was in New York with him, is the idea of a science and technology fair for new scientists, young inventors. As many of you know, there are so many technologies, including free energy, that have been suppressed, and many of the inventor expos and fairs have, substantial prizes for new inventions, but the inventors, these young inventors, lose the rights to their inventions, and they disappear, and they never get to humanity. So Michael would like us to host a science and technology fair in 2017, where we will invite all of the brilliant young inventors of our time, and they will be able to maintain the rights to their technology, but Ubuntu will be able to take part in the unfolding of that technology getting out to humanity. So many very exciting events will be coming. Of course, Michael will be coming back to the United States, as Brandon mentioned, and he will be speaking on these different topics as they continue to come into creation and crystallize. So if you have ideas, or, as I said, resources or connections for any of the events that I mentioned, please feel free to reach out to me, and or any of the people that you have seen, any of the emails that you've seen on the presentation today. We'd be very interested in connecting with you and hearing what you have to say. And we're really excited to see you at one of our upcoming events. So I believe that that was what Susan was going to be talking about today. I could be totally wrong, but those are the things that that we discussed as a team with Michael in person in New York City. And these are the things that we're beginning to plan for as a team moving into 2017. And of course, Susan just popped right back on there. So I do know, Susan, I just want to say that I just shared everything about the upcoming events that we have in mind that we discussed with Michael in New York City. I know that you had a poem that you wanted to read today to the people on the webinar today. Would you still like to do that?
Sure, thank you. And I'm so sorry. For some reason, I was knocked off there and it took a while to get back on, but I'm glad you're all there.
Yes, we're all here, and I think I did all right telling them about lots of the things that we discussed with Michael in New York. So if you just want to read,
Sure.
that'd be
Well,
wonderful.
first and quickly, I want to say, too, thank you so much, Star. Love you so much. And thank you very, very much. You are eloquent and beautiful as always this evening. Thank you, too, for Rebecca for stepping in the way she is. We really love her and appreciate her and the words she wrote. Thank you, Allison, as always. Thank you very much, Brandon. And sorry, Jeremy, that I missed the ending of what you shared. But I'm very, very excited. And I know we've met some new folks in Vermont. I believe you're working with Marty and Dylan. And we met them recently, and they're very passionate about Ubuntu, too. But I see we could be running out of time. And, you know, some of you know and love you all, and thank you for doing this work, that for whatever reason, I've been involved with Native America for about a decade. And believe me, I don't know much. The way I say it is I've touched the energy, but I've had opportunities to share some words. And I thought, especially with what's going on right now with our relatives, you know, out there in Standing Rock. And I know a lot of you are saying that you're standing with Standing Rock. And also I want to mention there are people who are also creating a second encampment in New Jersey. So for those of us on the East Coast, we might, you know, gather together and go down and visit some folks down in South Jersey. But I wanted to share a few words of Black Elk, and many of you probably have heard of Black Elk Speaks. He is a Lakota holy man, a medicine man, a prophet. At a very young age, he participated. He was about 12 years old in the Battle of Little Bighorn. That was in 1876. He was wounded in the massacre that occurred at Wounded Knee. But I just wanted to share a few words. In Black Elk's vision, he's known for having a very powerful vision. The hoop of the world referred to the communities of Native people. And in his vision, he saw the Native people going through a long time of suffering during which the hoop was broken. And then, too, he saw that the people would begin to heal. So just a very few words. And then I want to share a few words of another great leader and just end with that. So these are the words of Black Elk. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all, and round about beneath me was the whole hoop of the world. And while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell, and I understood more than I saw, for I was seeing in a sacred manner the shapes of all things in the spirit, and the shape of all shapes, as they must live together like one being. And I say the sacred hoop of my people was one of the many hoops that made one circle, wide as daylight and as starlight, and in the center grew one mighty flowering tree to shelter all the children of one mother and one father. And I saw that it was holy, but anywhere is the center of the world. And this center, which is here, but which we know in reality is everywhere, is Wankatanka, Great Spirit. And then quickly, I just want to share a few words of Chief Arvil Looking Horse. I'm sure many of you are aware of his great work these days, also of Lakota people. I'll just be brief. He asks, and he says, we are asking to open your heart and minds to this time of crisis that is now upon us, threatening a healthy life for our future generations, and also for the many spirit lives of the four-legged winged ones, those that crawl and that swim, who depend on the water of life. Those that know how strong spiritual energy is understand water is the most essential lifeline to survival. It is a source of life that is so powerful that when we offer our energy of prayers, it can change into medicinal healing through united intentions. Even science finally found this out only recently. Water carries the keeper's energy and can change very fast. It can also bring death by not respecting its gift, especially when over-abused as a resource. It is time we wake up the world to stop abusing and destroying a gift of life before it is too late. In a sacred hoop of life where there is no ending and no beginning. And that's from Chief Arvel Looking Horse. So I want to thank you all very much for participating in these great times. And very soon I'll be putting together this collaboration circle. Finally, I'm very, very passionate and excited about that. And thank you so much. Thank you all for the great work you're doing.
Thank you so much, Susan. Those were both very beautiful pieces and so perfectly timed. And I just want to mention that Ubuntu has very strong intentions to connect and collaborate with the indigenous people of this country and of the world, and to return the power to them and to the earth, as I mentioned earlier. So at the beginning of this coming year, I will be meeting with several tribal elders in the Western United States, and where I live here. I live in California. And I will also be traveling to Arizona and Nevada. So we are very, very excited to begin this beautiful relationship with the Native peoples, and to help to use some of our plans and resources to help return abundance and health and well-being and happiness into the Native communities and all communities.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Susan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I believe, Allison, you had a couple of things that you wanted to bring in.
Oops.
Allison, are you there? She was able to switch the slide, but I don't hear her unless I'm. Yeah, unfortunately, fortunately, we can't hear you, Allison. Let me see if I can do something from my end here. Nope, unfortunately, sorry, Allison. Technical difficulties strikes again. Love and enjoy the challenge of technology at the same time. So I know that she was wanting to speak about the state coordinator positions. And in every state, we're looking to have up to 3 state coordinators. As this movement grows, we're going to need to become more efficient in our communication systems. And this is part of that. This is part of being able to relay the information coming from the national efforts, the global efforts from Michael himself, who is our visionary leader, and relay that to the state coordinators, who will then relay the information to the local circles within their states. And some states are quite large. I'm wondering if some of the highlighted ones, I think there already are state coordinators for those. Again, guys, I'm just winging it here. So, we're looking for state coordinators. If you feel passionate about Ubuntu and you would like to be a part of this movement in a larger way, of course, the most important way is to start right where you are. But we're also in need of people to assist us in getting this information out to the local areas, to local communities. And if you're interested in becoming a state coordinator or just learning a little bit more about what that might involve, then please reach out to Allison. She's listed her email in the chat, but I'm also going to say it just because I know that in the webinar recording, the chat is not present. So her email is a.dracha, which is DRACHA, at UBUNTUPlanetUSA.com. So feel free to email Allison if you feel inspired to learn a little bit more about what it means to be a state coordinator. Essentially, you'd be working alongside us and Michael and learning about what's happening and then disseminating information to the local areas. And also you would be disseminating information from the local communities back to us, because it's definitely bi-directional, interconnected communication system where there is not a true top, and we're all just communicating with each other to create a better world. So hopefully, Allison, hopefully I did all right there. We didn't really touch base about this, but please reach out to us if you know someone or if you're interested in potentially being a state coordinator. And I think that they have semi-regular meetings, so it wouldn't be a tremendous commitment. But feel free to reach out to Allison if you feel inspired. So do we have anything else on the agenda, Allison? Okay, UBUNTU, the most important slide. So we're coming to the end of our webinar here, and we always like to talk a little bit about how you can be involved, because you are the most important part of this movement. So one of the very first things that you can do, if you haven't already, is to buy the book. Buy the Contributionism book, which supports the movement. It supports Michael at the global level, and to share it with other people. Oftentimes, if I run into somebody who resonates with some of the ideas that we're talking about here today, I will offer them a copy of the book, because the book, as many of you know, is the blueprint. It is the way. It has the answers, many of the answers. A lot of the other answers we're going to find along the way. But the book is a very important piece of the movement because it has such critical information. The other thing you can do is to purchase the Bolton Valley webinar on the United States website that Jeremy was talking about earlier, which is usa.ubuntuplanet.org. You can go onto our website and you can purchase the webinar. I believe it's $25. It's very long. I think he spoke from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so, Michael covers a lot of ground. So it's the most up-to-date information about Ubuntu and what's happening. And he goes into much more detail about the plan of action that Brandon spoke about today. So if you're interested in purchasing that, please go to our website and do so. It supports the movement. The other thing that you can do is, did I mess up, Jeff? UBUNTUPlanetUSA.com. Okay. Sorry, we have had a recent change in email addresses. So I just wanted to reiterate that any of us on the team here are going to have email addresses of @UBUNTUPlanetUSA.com. We were using a different email platform that was giving us all sorts of problems when we were trying to send out information prior to our events. So I apologize about that. And that is also the website that has additional materials available for download and lots of additional information that's not available on the main website. So moving on here, as I mentioned, another thing that you can do is to start an Ubuntu meetup group or local circle, which is something that's very, very important. Many of the national team runs local meetup groups, and it can just start with one other person, where it's just you and that other person having a cup of tea and talking about these ideas and what it might look like, because as we know, it starts there. And we also are going to have some video presentations coming. Michael's going to be making a very brief 20 to 30-minute video presentation that will be, you can download a copy of his presentation. Hopefully we'll make it for free. That's my intention. And so that you can just download the video or access it directly on our website and then be able to discuss it as a group. So that will be coming very, very soon. Also, myself and Christine Barbieri, who is on our implementation team, will be creating video presentations that you can use about different aspects of the movement and to start fruitful discussions with each other. And as I mentioned, there's also materials available on our website at Ubuntu, UBUNTUPlanetUSA.com. Hopefully I got that right. And then our main website is usa.ubuntuplanet.org. I know, it's a lot of websites to remember. You can also follow us on Facebook. We are under Ubuntu Planet USA. I am the moderator of that page and am posting as much as I possibly can. If you're interested in participating in social media for Ubuntu, feel free to reach out to me, and we'd love to have additional assistance to get the message of Ubuntu out there. I'd like to try to make it more interactive and try to get more people involved and commenting, and so that's also something that we're going to be working on. Another thing you can do is just to spread the message when given the opportunity. You know that sometimes you have those golden opportunities when you run into someone and you can see the glimmer in their eye. You can see that they're somewhat awake, and you can have this conversation with them and open them up to the idea of Ubuntu. And more people are awakening to this idea and contacting us and joining us, and it's only going to continue to grow from here. Lastly, what you can do is connect to your own passions and offer contributions to others right where you are. So, you know, taking some time to try to disconnect from what society has told you that you should be doing. You know, earning that degree. I went and earned an advanced degree, and it doesn't matter. You know, it's not in complete alignment with my passions, and so what's important is connecting with your inner guidance, finding your own passion, and then finding a way to be able to contribute in alignment with that passion, which is how we'll all be living in Ubuntu communities in the future. So lastly, you guys can donate on our websites if you are able to. As Brandon mentioned, we're going to be starting a fundraising campaign, but we have all been working on a volunteer basis over the last year and have put a lot of time and energy into many things, including the events that were just put on in our country. So does anyone have any questions? I can see one Trigby right away there saying, is there a way to get the Bolton Valley webinar on CD for listening during road trips? That's a great question. I think that Brandon and I spoke with Michael about putting the book on audio. Brandon, I don't remember if he was open to that. I know that we're also looking to transition the book into a digital version. Brandon, do you remember what he said about doing an audiobook?
Oh, yeah, no, there wasn't an audiobook. That was just for a PDF version of Contributionism book.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, maybe that was just me thinking in my own head.
Well, I mean, but as far as what they're looking for, I mean, whatever video, if it's out there for free, I mean, certainly the MP4 can be converted to MP3. I can do that. So I don't know the status of the MP4. I don't know whether you had to pay for it. as that pay-per-view session, or it's available for everybody. But if it's available for everybody, I can convert it. So let me know. I can give it back to you. You can post up on the website. People can download it.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. Yeah, so you do have to pay for it. As I mentioned, it's on our website. It's available for $25. There is not an audio version of it at this time. I do think that an audio version of the book would be a good idea. I think maybe that was just me thinking that, especially because Michael is just so alluring with his wonderful accent, and he's so passionate. You can really hear him speaking from his heart. So maybe I'll speak with him about that the next time I talk to him. Does anybody have any other questions? Allison, I don't know if you're able to speak at this time yet, or I can kind of scroll through. Oh, they were all covered. Okay, wonderful. Okay. So we covered a lot of ground tonight, as we always do. You can see that we continue to grow and evolve, and we welcome your participation. We want to be transparent. We want to be connected to the people, and we will be hosting another collaboration webinar. Do we have another slide about the upcoming meetings? And there we go. Perfect. So I'll go ahead and take this for you, Allison. So it's the last Sunday of every month. If you have registered for this today, you will automatically be notified of upcoming meetings in the future. So you don't have to register every time. And then if you don't resonate with it when it comes up the next time, then you don't need to attend. But we will be hosting the next meeting Sunday, November 27th at 7 p.m. And if you would like to reach out to any of us, we've listed our new email addresses there for you. So Allison is the facilitator of this webinar here, and myself and Rebecca, as I mentioned, are co-coordinating the efforts in the United States. And then that our website there is listed, and the website where the materials are listed is UBUNTUPlanetUSA.com. And so you can go to that website, UBUNTUPlanetUSA.com, which Jeff Henry has created for us. He's also created this new email platform for us, and we're so thankful for that. But you can go to UBUNTUPlanetUSA.com and you can download materials for free. So I think Trigvi was asking if there are materials for available for local meetups, and there are definitely materials, free materials there, and feel free to take them for yourself. And we're going to be adding more things as we go. So as I mentioned, the video presentations are going to be created fairly soon, and we hope to have those available for you as well. So unless there are any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and bring this meeting to a close. We are so, so grateful for your participation. And as I mentioned, feel free to reach out to any or all of us with any kind of ideas or suggestions, or if you'd like to get involved. And we look forward to seeing you at our next meeting, November 27th. Until then, try to stay heart-centered, stay safe out there. It's going to get a little more chaotic before it gets better, but it is going to get better. And just try to follow your inner guidance and stay in your heart. And we'll see you all soon on Facebook or at our next meeting. Thank you all so much. Much love to you all. And we'll connect very soon. All right, take care.